It is 11 p.m.
Yeah.
and you are staring at the glowing screen of your laptop. Your phone is probably buzzing right there in your hand, casting this pale blue light across the dark room.
Just that horrible ambient digital glow.
Exactly. And you promised yourself that tonight you are finally going to get some real work done. Or maybe just read that book that's been sitting on your nightstand for, 3 months now?
Right, the one you keep ignoring.
Yeah, you wanted to do something, anything that actually matters to you, but nothing is happening. You are just sitting there.
I'm totally paralyzed.
You are merely physically tired. Your brain is running on absolutely zero fumes. You are entirely, unequivocally cooked.
And it's a very specific kind of exhaustion, isn't it? Like you sit there totally overloaded, clicking between tabs.
Refreshing feeds you just checked 30 seconds ago.
Exactly. Feeling nothing but a vague, ambient sense of dread. It's this endless haze, a perpetual feeling of, whatever. And the terrifying part is not that it happens occasionally. The terrifying part is that this paralysis has just quietly become your normal.
And this is exactly what we need to pull apart today on this deep dive.
Yeah.
Because it is incredibly easy to sit there at 11 p.m. and hate yourself for it.
Oh, the guilt is massive.
It really is. To think, I am lazy, I have no discipline, this is a personal failing, but it isn't. What you are experiencing in that quiet, desperate moment is the fallout of a systemic cognitive crisis.
Absolutely. It's structural.
We are witnessing the global weaponization of human attention, the complete grindification of human existence. And I want to be clear right up front, this isn't just about procrastination.
Oh, not at all.
This dictates who controls the future of the global economy, who generates true innovation, and who is quietly being stripped of their agency and identity.
Because if you look at the architecture of the modern digital economy, this is the defining structural conflict of our era.
The invisible war.
Yeah. The forces extracting your attention are engaged in a massive invisible war for your cognitive real estate. And the stakes couldn't be higher.
I mean, if you cannot focus, if you cannot direct your own mind, what happens?
You essentially become a biological cog in a digital machine. You become completely predictable and entirely easily manipulated.
So we are going to completely deconstruct this today. We need to look at the invisible religion of hyperproductivity, analyze the structures that actually benefit from your perpetual exhaustion, and most importantly,
map out how to get out of it.
Right, how you can reclaim your cognitive sovereignty in a world meticulously designed to hijack it. So let's start at the biological baseline.
Okay.
What is actually happening in our brains when we hit that 11 p.m. wall? How do we transition from a world of, occasional boredom and distraction into this era of merciless emotional gratification?
Well, the anatomy of that cooked state is fascinating because it is a historical anomaly. It's not physical fatigue from plowing a field.
Right.
And it's not even the mental fatigue of solving a complex math problem. It is the feeling of being simultaneously hyperstimulated and completely vacant.
Which feels like a paradox.
It does, but think about the mechanics of scrolling for 6 straight hours. You are consuming these hyper-condensed, maybe 7-second bursts of pure, raw emotion.
Just back to back to back.
Yeah. In a span of 10 minutes, you watch someone weeping over a breakup, then immediately a clip of someone raging at a political rally.
And then a perfectly choreographed dance routine.
Exactly. Followed by some tragic news headline.
It feels like your nervous system is being put in a blender.
That's a great way to put it.
I mean, you are cycling through grief, anger, joy, and panic at a completely unnatural speed.
And that speed is the crucial factor here. When you finally turn the screen off, you remember absolutely nothing.
Literally nothing. It's a blur.
Because you have consumed thousands of intense emotional spikes, but you are completely empty. Your brain hasn't had the necessary time to process, contextualize, or integrate any of that information.
It just washes over you?
Yeah, you've just flooded your synapses with raw stimuli without any structural meaning.
It's like eating an entire box of artificial sweetener.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Your taste buds are firing like crazy, right? They're telling your brain, sugar's here, energy is here, but there are no actual calories.
Right. Your body is starving, but your palate is overwhelmed.
Exactly.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it, because these platforms and the devices we access them on are no longer just tools for communication or information retrieval.
What are they then?
They have morphed into externalized emotional regulation systems.
Wait, unpack that for a second. Explain what you mean by an externalized emotional regulation system.
So historically, if you felt a negative emotion, you had to process it internally or socially.
Right.
If you felt a moment of awkwardness at a party, you had to stand there, feel the awkwardness, and eventually figure out how to strike up a conversation.
You couldn't just escape.
No. If you felt lonely, you had to sit with that loneliness until it motivated you to call a friend. You had to self-soothe.
Which builds resilience.
Exactly. But today, the second we feel even a microdose of discomfort, what do?
We pull out the phone.
We pull out the phone, feeling awkward, scroll Twitter, feeling a brief pang of anxiety, open Instagram, feeling lonely, launch YouTube.
It's automatic.
It is. We are actively offloading our capacity to regulate our own emotions onto algorithms.
But the algorithms don't actually care about soothing us. They aren't your therapist.
Oh, quite the opposite. The algorithms are not designed to help you cope or reach a state of equilibrium.
They just want your attention.
They're designed to keep you engaged. And the easiest way to keep a human engaged is to keep them slightly anxious, slightly outraged, or constantly anticipating the next variable reward.
So you are using a tool to soothe your anxiety that is structurally designed to generate more of it.
Precisely. It's a closed loop of misery.
Which completely explains why we feel so terrible after doing it, yet we keep going back. But if it feels this empty, why is the pressure to keep doing something so intense? I feel like even when I try to put the phone down and just relax on a Sunday, there's this buzzing guilt in the back of my head.
I know exactly what you mean.
Where is that coming from? Why can't we just rest?
To understand that, we have to look at the underlying ideology of our current cultural moment. We are living under the invisible religion of modern capitalism.
A religion.
Yeah, where productivity has become a secular religion. In the modern developed world, a massive portion of the population no longer worships the traditional higher power.
Right. Secularization is peaking.
Exactly. But human beings still crave a moral framework.
Right.
We still crave salvation. So we have substituted God with optimization.
Optimization. Wow. So instead of going to church, I'm listening to a biohacking podcast at 2x speed while commuting.
Exactly. The morning routine is the new salvation. We seek absolution through tracking our REM sleep cycles, optimizing our macronutrients, cold plunging.
Eating 50 books a year.
Yes. And just like any deeply entrenched religion, this culture of productivity has a rigid moral scorecard.
Okay, how does the moral scorecard work in this context?
Well, your daily output is no longer viewed as just an economic metric like how much value you provided to your employer. It has mutated into a measure of your fundamental human worth.
So it's tied to identity.
Deeply. Did you hit your step goal today? Did you clear your inbox? Are you living up to your potential? These are no longer logistical questions.
They are moral questions.
Exactly. If you are highly productive, you are a good person. If you are unproductive, you are morally failing.
So if you aren't producing, you are actively sinning.
Yes. And the direct consequence of that ideological shift is the complete redefinition of rest.
How so?
Rest is no longer viewed as a fundamental biological necessity like breathing or drinking water. Rest has been repositioned as a luxury that must be earned.
Oh, I feel that. You have to justify your relaxation.
You can only sit on the couch and watch a movie if you've crushed your to-do list for 10 hours prior.
Otherwise, the guilt sets in.
Right. We have engineered a cultural system where severe exploitation and most insidiously self-exploitation has been masterfully repackaged as personal development.
That's a chilling phrase. Self-exploitation is personal development.
Because the system never actually lets you rest. There is always another level to optimize.
It feels like this mindset has completely colonized areas of our lives that used to be safe havens. Think about traditional hobbies.
Oh, hobbies are a perfect example.
Hobbies used to be like this unmarked wilderness in your mind. A place you could wander, get lost, build a weird little fort, and literally nobody cared.
You could just be.
Yeah, you could be terrible at woodworking, and that was totally fine. But now, it feels like that wilderness has been paved over by a giant strip mall.
It really has.
Every single hobby feels like a failed side hustle waiting to happen.
You're touching on what I call the grindification of human existence. Historically, hobbies were the designated antidote to productivity culture.
Right, they were the escape.
They were the one sphere of your life where you were implicitly allowed to be terrible at something without any economic or social consequences. The entire point was the process, not the outcome.
But not anymore.
No. Now hobbies are productivity's latest victims. The cultural pressure dictates that your recreation time is essentially a waste unless it's building towards a larger monetizable trajectory.
Or at least building a personal brand.
Exactly.
It feels like if I go buy a guitar today, my immediate thought isn't, oh, I'm going to really enjoy learning how to play a G chord.
What is your thought?
My immediate thought is, how many months until I can stream myself playing this on Twitch? Or I need to record my progress for TikTok.
That is the exact mechanism at play. Let's look at how this plays out structurally. Say someone decides they want to try digital painting.
Okay.
So they buy an iPad and download Procreate. Historically, you would just mix digital colors, make some weird, ugly shapes, and enjoy the visual feedback.
Just playing around.
But today, within a week, that person is completely stressed out.
Because they're comparing themselves.
Yes. Instead of painting, they are watching YouTube tutorials on the producer mindset for digital artists. They are obsessively researching brush settings.
Trying to optimize the fun out of it.
They are feeling immense frustration and inadequacy because their beginner doodles don't look like the viral hyperlapse speed paintings they are consuming on algorithmic feeds.
So they skip the entire experimentation phase. They skip the messy, joyful part of being a beginner.
Entirely. Or take someone making music. They download Ableton to make beats in their bedroom.
Another classic trap.
Instantly the pressure mounts. They are stressed about their SoundCloud follower count. They are researching how to game the Spotify algorithm. They are trying to get signed.
The hobby becomes a job you don't get paid for.
Exactly. The act of documenting and optimizing the hobby has completely superseded the joy of actually experiencing it. The joy of being mediocre has been erased from our culture.
But why does that matter so much? I mean, aside from it just being sad that people can't have fun, what is the actual cognitive cost of losing that unoptimized play?
The tragedy is that when you force every hobby to operate under the logic of a business opportunity, you destroy the essence of what made it cognitively valuable.
Which is what?
Play. From a neurobiological standpoint, play is absolutely essential for human cognition, problem solving, and mental elasticity.
Really? It's that foundational?
Oh, absolutely. Play is how we test boundaries in a low-stakes environment. When you remove play and replace it with high-stakes optimization, you make the brain rigid. You induce chronic stress.
So we're exhausted from optimizing our work. We're exhausted from optimizing our downtime. Our hobbies stress us out.
And we are staring at our screens at 11 p.m. because our brains literally do not know how to exist without an objective anymore.
But surely we aren't doing this to ourselves in a vacuum. There has to be a structural infrastructure encouraging this.
There is a massive one.
Right, because if we are all running around like exhausted, hyper-optimized hamsters, who is collecting the electricity from the wheel?
To understand the power structures here, you have to follow the data and the money. The clear winners, certainly in the short to medium term, are the digital platforms, the data aggregators, and the advertising ecosystems.
Because they harvest the attention.
Exactly. We are living in a highly mature attention economy. In this economy, your emotional state, your baseline attention, is the raw material.
It's being mined.
It's being extracted, packaged, and sold to the highest bidder. And these platforms explicitly engineer their content delivery to be highly emotional and instantly forgettable.
Instantly forgettable. Why?
Precisely so that you continually require the next hit. They do not want you satiated. Satiated users close the app.
Satiated users go to sleep.
Exactly.
But they have to be hitting a wall, right? I mean, cuts can't get any faster.
Sure.
Videos can't get any shorter. Human biology has physical limits.
We are absolutely hitting the biological limits of human perception right now.
It really feels like it.
The platforms are engaged in a merciless race to the bottom of the brainstem. You literally cannot make a video shorter than a few seconds without it just becoming a subliminal flash of light and sound.
It's just noise at that point.
And because they are hitting this wall, the tactics are becoming more aggressive, which brings us to a much deeper structural reality we need to address.
What's it?
The concept of weaponized abundance.
Weaponized abundance. Wow. It feels like our biology is actively betraying us here.
It is.
Because we evolved for scarcity, right? Our ancestors were wired to eat every piece of sugar they found because they might not see a berry bush for another week.
Exactly.
But now we live in an environment of infinite abundance. How does the ancient human brain even process that?
It doesn't process it well, and that is exactly the vulnerability being exploited.
Tell me more about that.
For 99.9% of human history, as you said, we lived in profound scarcity. If you found high-calorie food, your brain rewarded you with massive dopamine spikes to ensure you consumed it.
To keep you alive.
Right. If you found a potential mate, or gathered novel information about your environment, your brain rewarded you. We are biologically hardwired to relentlessly seek out these specific rewards.
Because historically, they meant survival.
Exactly. But today, if I want sugar, I don't have to forage for it.
No, you can open an app and have 4,000 calories of hyperpalatable processed food delivered to your door in 20 minutes.
Exactly. And the same goes for novelty and social validation. We live in an environment of total frictionless abundance.
Frictionless. That's the key word.
We have unlimited, chemically engineered processed foods. We have hyper-stimulating, incredibly realistic video games.
Infinite, high-speed internet pornography.
And we have perfectly calibrated, AI-driven algorithmic feeds serving us endless novelty.
So we basically took our ancient scarcity survival mechanism and plugged it straight into a machine of infinite supply.
Yes. And the brutal truth of human neurobiology is that when you pursue pleasure for its own sake in an environment of infinite abundance, it leads directly and inevitably to addiction.
It's unavoidable.
It is mathematically unavoidable. Your dopamine baseline continually resets higher and higher, meaning you need more extreme stimuli just to feel normal.
It is a terrifying picture when you frame it like that.
Yeah.
It means we are basically solitary individuals fighting billion-dollar supercomputers.
Supercomputers that are armed with PhDs in behavioral psychology and infinite server space.
Yeah, and the modern struggle is exacerbated by the fact that you are fighting this battle largely alone.
That is a critical point. Historically, humans had robust friction against these base impulses.
Like what?
We had traditional tribes, tight-knit local communities, extended families, and deep cultural or religious networks.
Social friction.
Yes. Those structures provided friction. They told you when to stop. They gave you a sense of identity that wasn't tied to consumption.
Well, we've lost a lot of that.
Modern society has largely dismantled those communal structures in favor of extreme individualism. So you are an isolated node being relentlessly bombarded by weaponized stimuli.
Okay, let's say someone listening to this right now realizes all of this. They are sitting there at 11 p.m. and they decide, I'm done. I see the matrix.
I'm opting out.
Right. I am opting out of the algorithmic slop. I'm putting the phone in a drawer. I'm going to stop drinking on weekends to numb the exhaustion. I'm just going to break these habits.
A noble goal.
But why is that so incredibly difficult? Because it's clearly not just about chemical withdrawal or fighting the algorithm, is it?
No, the chemical withdrawal or the algorithmic FOMO is only half the battle. The truly brutal reality, the thing that keeps most people trapped, is the profound social cost of breaking free.
The social cost.
Yes. Breaking these normalized addictions is, quite frankly, socially unacceptable in many circles.
Wait, you're saying society actively wants us to remain addicted to this stuff?
Society wants consensus and society wants comfort.
Okay.
It operates on shared fictions and lowest common denominator consensus so that large groups of people don't fracture.
Makes sense.
If you decide to radically change your behavior, say you quit alcohol, or you completely quit mindlessly consuming algorithmic media, or you stop watching whatever reality show everyone talks about at the office,
You become an outlier.
you suddenly become a mirror reflecting everyone else's complacency back at them.
Oh, wow. I can see that. If my entire social life is built around going to the bar on Friday night and I suddenly stop drinking, it's not just about me not having a beer.
No.
It changes the entire dynamic of the group.
It forces you to realize things you previously ignored. When you sit in those venues completely sober, you suddenly realize you cannot tolerate the environment.
The music is too loud.
The music is too loud, the venue is depressing, and most importantly, you often can't tolerate the shallow conversations.
That's the painful part.
You realize that a significant portion of your relationships might be entirely fake, held together solely by shared distraction and shared substances.
Wow. So quitting the addiction, whether it's the phone or the alcohol, actually means you have to quit your lifestyle?
You might have to quit your friends.
That is heavy.
Yes. To truly break free and reclaim your cognitive sovereignty, you often have to change your peer group.
So from scratch.
You have to endure a period of profound, deeply uncomfortable loneliness before you can build new, authentic connections based on actual shared values rather than shared numbing agents.
And society hates that.
Society hates that. When you reject the shared distraction, you become a threat to the comfortable consensus. People will subtly or overtly try to pull you back in.
Come on, just have one drink. Just watch one episode.
Exactly.
Which raises a really fascinating point about where this deeply ingrained compliance comes from. because we aren't born like this.
No, we are not.
We aren't born wanting to sit in a beige cubicle for 10 hours, feeling anxious about a spreadsheet, and then going home to scroll TikTok in the dark for 4 hours.
We certainly are not. If you want to see natural human operating systems, look at a healthy 2-year-old.
They are wild.
They are intensely high-agency creatures. If they want to inspect a bug on the ground, they drop everything and inspect it. They ask why 1,000 times a day.
Exhaustingly curious.
They are driven by an innate, explosive curiosity. But then we take those high-agency creatures and we put them into the modern education system.
Let's talk about the education system.
Yeah.
Because it feels like that is the factory floor for all this compliance we've been discussing.
Structurally, it is. The modern education system, which largely traces its architectural roots back to the demands of the Industrial Revolution, was not designed to foster explosive creativity.
It was designed to build workers.
It was explicitly designed to transmit existing knowledge faithfully and, above all, to enforce obedience.
To make people sit still.
The overt objective of the 19th and 20th century school model was to make people behave alike. You need workers who will show up when the bell rings, sit in rows, do repetitive tasks without complaining.
And ask permission to use the restroom.
Exactly.
So it systematically replaces organic curiosity with forced compliance.
Exactly. It operates on a system of external rewards and punishments grades that trains you to seek validation from an authority figure rather than trusting your own intellectual curiosity.
We're trained to want the gold star.
We have spent generations training people to be highly efficient, replaceable robots. We optimize them to follow detailed instructions.
But there's a problem with that today.
There is a massive structural crisis we are facing today, because if your only skill is following instructions perfectly, you will eventually be replaced by actual software or actual robotics.
The machines are infinitely better at being robots than we are.
Precisely. And this is why it is so critical to step back and look at these systems objectively. We are functioning with 19th century conditioning in a 21st century technological landscape.
It's a total mismatch. And honestly, this right here is exactly why we do this deep dive.
It's crucial context.
It really is. Uncovering these hidden structural forces, the invisible architecture operating just beneath the surface of our daily mundane frustrations, is what this show is built for.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this and valuing this kind of long-form structural breakdown that actively challenges the consensus narrative, please make sure you subscribe. Drop a comment with your thoughts. We rely on listeners who actually want to look under the hood of society, who want to see the blueprints of the matrix.
It is a necessary exercise, because once you can clearly see the blueprint of the compliance machine, you strip it of its invisible power.
You can't unsee it.
Right. You can begin to consciously dismantle its effects on your own mind and your own daily routines.
All right, let's push this even further. If the educational system and the digital economy are perfectly dovetailed to make us obedient, hyper-productive content consumers,
Which they are.
what does actual, genuine human creation look like? Because if you log onto social media, everyone calls themselves a creator. But is genuine human creativity even possible anymore, or are we just trapped in a loop, remixing the slop the algorithm feeds us?
This is perhaps the most vital philosophical question of our time. We have to look at the underlying epistemology, the theory of knowledge.
Okay, let's get into it.
There are concepts championed by quantum physicists and philosophers like David Deutsch that completely dismantle how the general public thinks about creativity. There is a massive, widespread misconception about what creativity actually is.
Are you talking about that famous Steve Jobs quote? The one where he says, creativity is just connecting things?
Yes.
Because that gets thrown around in every marketing seminar on earth.
It does. And while that might apply to certain types of product design as a definition of true human knowledge creation, it is fundamentally flawed.
Why?
The prevailing cultural belief is that creativity is essentially combinatory. You take element A, you take element B, you smash them together, and you get something new.
Like taking a 90s hip-hop beat and putting a country music vocal over it. Remixing.
Exactly. But here's the critical distinction. An algorithm can remix. Artificial intelligence is incredibly good at remixing.
Bigger than us, honestly.
Much better. And AI can instantly smash together the visual style of Van Gogh with a photograph of a modern city skyline. That is probabilistic remixing based on existing data sets. But true, foundational human creativity is something entirely different. It is the ability to create new explanatory knowledge out of absolutely nothing.
Wait, out of nothing? How is that possible? Even the greatest geniuses had to start with some existing data or prior knowledge, right?
They start with existing data, yes, but the new knowledge they generate cannot be deduced or extrapolated from that data. Let's look at Albert Einstein.
Okay.
When Einstein generated the general theory of relativity, he wasn't just mashing up existing Newtonian physics. In fact, Newtonian physics contradicted his new ideas.
He had to break the rules.
He faced a problem inconsistencies in how gravity and light interacted, particularly regarding the orbit of Mercury. To solve it, he had to make a massive, unpredictable, creative leap.
A leap that wasn't in the data.
Exactly. He formulated a completely new explanation of the universe. Curved space-time.
So it's the difference between a DJ mixing two existing tracks together and someone inventing a completely new physical instrument that produces sounds no one has ever heard before.
Yeah, that is a brilliant way to phrase it. The explanation of curved space-time did not exist anywhere in the universe or in any data set before it existed in Einstein's mind.
Wow.
The same goes for Mozart composing a symphony or a philosopher proposing a new ethical framework. True creativity is inherently unpredictable.
Because if it was predictable, it wouldn't be new.
Right. If it were just a mathematical algorithm of remixing existing data, we could predict what the next great scientific breakthrough or the next great novel would be, but we can't.
But that kind of true, unpredictable creativity requires space. It requires the ability to sit with a complex problem for a long time, to let the subconscious work, to tolerate frustration.
Which is exactly what the modern world denies us.
Right. The modern worker, the modern human, has zero cognitive space. They are entirely trapped in what we could call the busy trap.
The busy trap is the absolute enemy of true creativity. And what's worse is that it disguises itself as productivity.
How so?
There is a severe hidden inefficiency to the unhappy, highly driven person. Imagine a mind that is running 24/7 with low-grade anxiety.
I think a lot of people can imagine that very easily.
Sadly, yes. This person is constantly triaging micro-tasks. They are checking Slack every 5 minutes. They are responding to emails while driving. They are worrying about a Zoom meeting while trying to eat dinner.
But they feel incredibly productive. I know people like this.
Yeah.
They check off 100 tiny boxes a day.
They are exhausted, but they feel like they are conquering the world.
Right.
But they only feel productive.
Yeah.
Their cognitive judgment is severely compromised. They are operating entirely in a reactive state.
They're just swatting at flies.
Exactly. And when it comes time to make a massive, needle-moving decision, a decision that requires clear judgment, deep pattern recognition, and strategic foresight, they fail.
Because they have no depth.
They have too many fragmented threads running in their head. They react emotionally to minor setbacks. They dig themselves into deep strategic holes that they didn't need to dig simply because they never paused to ask if they were digging in the right place.
Just digging faster to feel busy.
Yes. Being constantly busy is not a badge of honor. It is a sign of poor prioritization and an inability to manage one's own attention. It is highly inefficient.
So if the busy trap is the enemy, what is the antidote? What does the environment for true knowledge creation actually look like in this hyper-connected era?
The ultimate luxury in the modern world and the true cognitive superpower is the unscheduled life.
The unscheduled life. Okay, I have to push back on that. That sounds entirely impossible for 99% of people listening to this.
I know it does.
We have mortgages, we have bosses, we have kids who need to be at soccer practice at 4 p.m. How can anyone actually live an unscheduled life?
It is incredibly difficult to achieve, and it might not be possible to achieve 100% of the time, but it must be the aspirational target.
The ideal we strive for.
Yes. To truly create, to engage your specific genius and generate new knowledge, you must ruthlessly protect your time. You need the physical and mental space to be profoundly bored.
Boredom as a tool.
Boredom is the essential precursor to creativity. It is the state where your brain finally clears the cache of immediate threats and starts connecting disparate, deep-seated ideas.
But getting to that boredom means saying no to a lot of things.
To get that space, you have to be willing to reject societal obligations. You have to be willing to disappoint people.
That is the hardest part for most of us. The guilt of saying no.
It is. You have to stop letting FOMO, the fear of missing out, dictate your calendar.
Which is easier said than done.
Definitely. But if you are not actively disappointing people by declining meetings, skipping social events you don't care about, and setting rigid boundaries, you are robbing yourself of the cognitive space required to do anything truly meaningful.
You are trading your potential for momentary social approval.
Yep.
I want to frame this with a thought I've had about how society organizes itself. Society is constantly feeding us these platitudes, right?
Sure.
They tell us money won't buy happiness, while simultaneously and quietly training us from childhood to feel intense guilt if we aren't grinding 24/7 for a paycheck.
The great contradiction.
It really feels like society is this massive multiplayer game run entirely on consensus and guilt. But finding actual truth and executing actual creativity feels like a single-player game.
That is a perfect synthesis of the dynamic. Groups, by their very evolutionary nature, search for consensus.
Because they have to stay together.
Right. A tribe needs everyone to agree on which direction to march, otherwise the tribe dies.
So truth takes a backseat to unity.
Exactly. If a group searches for truth, and the objective truth is highly uncomfortable or challenges the leadership, the group fractures and decoheres. So society constantly tells shared lies and enforces shared norms to keep everyone cooperating.
So truth is inherently dangerous to the crowd.
Yes. Individuals, however, search for truth. True innovation, true art, true self-discovery always happens at the individual level, often in direct opposition to the crowd.
And guilt is just the mechanism the crowd uses to keep you in the multiplayer game.
Exactly. Guilt is not necessarily your own moral compass. It is simply society's voice programmed into your head.
It's a control mechanism.
Society programs you so effectively from a young age that you eventually become your own warden. You police your own behavior to ensure you don't step out of the consensus.
Like when you try to relax and the guilt spikes.
Yes, when you take a random Tuesday afternoon to go sit on a park bench and just think. Society's voice whispers in your ear, you are wasting time, you are falling behind your peers, you should be answering emails.
That is the warden speaking.
To play the single-player game of truth and creativity, you have to realize that this guilt is an external imposition, not an internal objective truth.
Okay, so let's zoom out and look at where this is all heading. We are currently trapped in this multiplayer consensus game. We are surrounded by weaponized, algorithmic brain rot, and we are working ourselves into an inefficient panic.
It's a bleak picture.
Are we just doomed? I mean, if we look 10 or 20 years down the line, are we going to be entirely consumed by this digital slop? Or is there a breaking point?
We are actually at the beginning of a massive structural pendulum swing. I would argue we are witnessing the dawn of the post-brain rot era.
The post-brain rot era?
Yes.
I have to admit, that sounds surprisingly optimistic given everything we've just discussed.
It is optimistic.
But is that an actual immune response from society? Or is that just a niche luxury for wealthy tech bros who can afford to go on silent meditation retreats while the rest of the globe remains plugged into the matrix?
It's a valid skepticism, but the optimism is based on grounded biological reasoning.
Okay, explain.
Remember what we established earlier. Humans have a hard biological limit. People across all socioeconomic strata are becoming neurologically exhausted.
Everyone is feeling the burnout.
Exactly. The very fact that the term brain rot has escaped hyper-niche internet subcultures and become a mainstream phrase used by teenagers and adults alike is a massive indicator.
It's entering the common lexicon.
It is the first linguistic sign of a societal immune response. We pushed so far into fragmentation, into hyper-stimulating, deeply isolating micro-content, that a counter-movement wasn't just possible, it was an evolutionary inevitability.
What does that societal immune response actually look like in practice, though? How does it manifest?
Well, we are already seeing the early signals. There is a surging, somewhat desperate demand for coherent, deeply integrated experiences.
People want substance.
Look at the explosion of long-form audio. 10 years ago, media executives said no one would watch or listen to anything longer than 3 minutes.
Attention spans are dead, they said.
Right, but today millions of people are seeking out deep explorations where individuals talk for 3 or 4 hours without a single frantic edit or algorithmically optimized jump cut.
Like this very deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
People are starving for context.
Precisely. They are starved for context and friction. We are seeing people actively seek out intentional, friction-heavy communities.
Like what?
Whether that's run clubs, analog gaming groups, or restrictive digital spaces. People want things that are hard to consume.
Because the easy stuff is making us sick.
Yes. And over the next 10 to 20 years, we are going to see a severe, fundamental bifurcation of the internet.
A complete splitting of the digital world.
Yes. It will be a stark divide. On one side, you will have the hyper-optimized, emotionally calibrated algorithmic feed.
This is the flop side.
Exactly. It will be entirely powered by generative AI. It will be perfectly tailored to your deepest psychological vulnerabilities.
That's terrifying.
It will generate endless personalized slop, and it will be consumed by the masses who remain trapped in the compliance machine.
And the other side?
On the other side, you will see conscious, intentionally friction-heavy spaces. Spaces that explicitly and structurally reject the rapid-fire engagement model.
So digital sanctuaries.
Yes. These will be digital and physical communities, protocols, and tools designed specifically to enhance human agency rather than extract human attention.
Will they be accessible?
They will likely cost money, they will require effort to join, and they will prioritize deep work over cheap dopamine.
So the ultimate question for the listener is, how do they ensure they end up on the right side of that divide? How do you actually survive this bifurcation and make sure you end up on the side of agency rather than drowning in the algorithmic slop side?
You have to systematically take back your agency by building and focusing on what we call specific knowledge.
That's a crucial concept. Let's really unpack specific knowledge. How does it differ from just getting a good degree?
Specific knowledge is knowledge that cannot be easily trained, outsourced, or automated.
Okay.
If you can go to a university and get a standardized degree in exactly what you do, you can be your place.
Because a million other people have that same degree.
Right. If a process can be explicitly documented in a manual and trained into a new employee in 6 weeks, a robot or an AI will eventually be trained to do it faster, cheaper, and without needing sleep.
So standard professional skills are losing their premium. What replaces them?
Specific knowledge. And you find specific knowledge not by looking at what the market currently demands, but by pursuing your innate talents, your genuine curiosity, and your bizarre, highly specific obsessions.
It's the things that feel like play to you but look like grueling work to everyone else.
Exactly. If you love deep diving into obscure historical archives or reverse engineering complex software or analyzing global supply chain logistics.
Stuff that most people would find incredibly boring.
Right. But if you genuinely do it for fun on a Sunday morning while everyone else is sleeping, you will effortlessly outperform the person who's just doing it Monday to Friday for a paycheck.
Because you have endless stamina for it.
You have stamina, and more importantly, you build highly complex, intuitive pattern-matching judgment in that specific domain. You see connections others miss.
And how does that protect you from the AI?
Because in the age of infinite leverage, meaning the internet, AI, and code, that highly specific, idiosyncratic knowledge can be scaled globally.
You become a category of one.
Exactly. You don't need a factory anymore to reach 1 billion people. You just need a unique, valuable perspective.
But there is a massive paradox here that we need to address.
What's that?
If you manage to do this, if you build a life and an income around what inherently feels like play to you, the traditional boundaries between your life and your work completely dissolve.
That is the reality, and it is a psychological hurdle for many. That is the paradox of working for yourself or working as a true expression of your identity.
It blurs the lines completely.
When your labor is a direct manifestation of who you are, you lose the traditional concept of work-life balance. You don't really have weekends anymore.
You never really clock out.
No. You don't have vacations in the traditional escapist sense because you aren't trying to escape your life.
But on the flip side, you don't really have work either.
Exactly. You escape the 9-to-5 misery. You escape the anxiety of the Sunday scaries. But you take on the 24/7 reality of being your own entity.
Your brain is always on.
Your brain is always processing your interests. You can't turn it off. It can be exhausting, but it is deeply structurally fulfilling because it is self-actualization, not wage slavery.
And to make that leap, to actually build that specific knowledge, you have to value your time fundamentally differently than society teaches you to.
You have to aggressively reprice your own time.
Reprice it.
You must set an aspirational hourly rate for yourself. If you truly want to reclaim your cognitive sovereignty, you have to stop penny pinching your time while being careless with your attention.
Give me a number.
Tell yourself right now that your time is worth $1,000 an hour.
$1,000 an hour. That changes your decision-making instantly.
It forces a complete paradigm shift.
Yeah.
When your time is worth $1,000 an hour, you stop spending 45 minutes on the phone arguing with a customer service rep to get a $15 refund.
Because it's a massive net loss.
Exactly. You stop spending 3 hours on a Saturday running mindless errands across town just to save a few dollars on groceries.
You just outsource it.
You outsource, you ignore, or you simply let things slide. You start valuing your mental space and your cognitive energy above all else.
Because that's where the real value is generated.
Because that undisturbed space is the only place where your creativity and your specific knowledge can actually compound.
I want to pause here and throw this out to you, the listener. Look at your own life right now. Look at your own routines and your hobbies. Have you monetized the joy out of them?
It's a hard question to ask.
It is. Are you treating your weekend watercolor painting or your casual running habit like a brand building exercise? We really want this to be an active debate.
We want to hear from you.
Drop a comment, share this breakdown with someone who is stuck in the busy trap. Tell us where you are personally feeling the heavy friction of this brain rot era.
It is a vital, ongoing exercise to audit your own life for these systemic intrusions. You have to constantly ask yourself, where has the cold, calculating logic of the market secretly replaced the warm, organic logic of human joy?
So let's tie this all together. We've looked at that desperate 11 p.m. exhaustion. We've mapped the invisible religion of productivity and how it turned rest into a sin.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We've exposed how society demands compliance over truth, and we've charted the coming bifurcation of the digital world. We know the way out involves cultivating specific knowledge and ruthlessly valuing our cognitive space.
The path is clear, even if it's difficult.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final incredibly provocative thought. Because it's easy to listen to this and nod along, but if you really want to test how deeply the programming runs in your own brain, there is a test.
It is the ultimate diagnostic test for your cognitive sovereignty, and it is terrifyingly simple.
What is it?
Try this today. Go into a room, close the door, no music playing in the background, no books to read.
No podcasts.
No podcasts, no guided meditation app telling you how to breathe, no phone, just sit in a chair.
And do what?
Do absolutely nothing, watch your mind.
That's going to freak out.
It will run wild like a panicked monkey throwing things around a cage. It will flood you with anxiety about emails. It will urge you to check your notifications. It will conjure up embarrassing memories from 10 years ago.
Anything to avoid the silence.
It will do everything in its power to avoid the silence. But eventually, if you sit there long enough, the noise will run out of energy. The frantic thoughts will slow down.
And then what happens?
And whatever mood you finally settle into when that silence holds, that is your true default mood. That is who you actually are underneath the algorithmic programming, the caffeine, and the societal expectations.
And if you don't like what you find in that silence, if it's a profound sadness or anger or emptiness, that raw baseline is the absolute only place you can start to actually change your life.
You cannot optimize your way out of that feeling.
No. You cannot buy a new planner to fix it. You have to face the quiet.
Because if you never face the quiet, you will spend your entire life being silently navigated by external forces, mistaking their algorithms for your own desires.
So tonight, when it's 11 p.m., and you feel that familiar exhaustion creeping in, and your hand reaches automatically for that glowing screen to numb the silence,
Stop.
just stop. Look around the room. Turn off the noise. Take back your mind.